Hi, this is Donna. Welcome to DD Paper Crafts. In today's video, I'm going to be making another faceted box. This one measures 5 inches high and 3 inches wide, and it has a lid like so. The box is relatively quick to put together, so let me show you how I made it. For this project, you can use the width of A4 8¼ inches or US letter size 8½ inches, and it just means you'll have a slightly wider tab on the US letter size cardstock. For the main body of the box, you'll need 2 pieces, one which is your 8¼ or 8½ inch length times 9½ inches, and for the second piece of the main body of the box, it will be 8¼ or 8½ times 3½ inches. And in addition, you'll need a piece for the lid, which will be 4 by 3 inches. And you should be able to get all the components that you need for this particular box out of 2 sheets of A4 or US letter cardstock. We'll start with the largest piece, 8¼ or 8½ by 9½. And along the 8¼ side, score at 3 inches and 8 inches. Rotate so that you have your 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch glue tab at the top, and along the 9½ inch side, score at 9 inches. Within your top 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch score line, score at 3 down to the score line and at 6 down to the score line. So your top section here, depending on whether it's a 1/4 or a 1/2 inch, is going to be split at every 3 inches. Rotate the piece, so I've now got my 1/2 inch glue tab on the left, and score at 3½ down to the 3 inch score line, so the first score line, and at 6½ down to the 3 inch score line. Take your ruler and pencil. So we're working on the 9½ inch side. We've got the 1/2 inch glue tab on the left hand side, and you'll have your 8 inch score line running along the bottom. Line your ruler up with the 5½ inch mark down the left hand side, and make sure your ruler's running straight all the way across. And with your pencil, make a mark along the ruler at 1¼ inches, 2 3/4 inch, 4 1/4 inch, 5 3/4 inch, 7 1/4 inch, and 8 3/4 inch. Before we remove the scoreboard, we'll complete the scoring on the remaining parts. On the second piece, which is 3½ by 8¼ or 8½, score at 3 inches. Rotate, and along the 8¼ 8½ inch side, score at 3 inches and 8 inches. Rotate the piece so you've got your 1/2 inch score line on the left and your 8 inch score line is here. Take your ruler, line your ruler up with the 5½ inch mark down the left hand side, and make a pencil mark at 1 1/4 inches and 2 3/4 inch. And then finally, for your lid piece, which was 4 by 3, along the 4 inch side, score at 1/2 inch and 3½ inches. We're now going to do our additional scoring. This section here, anything above the 1/4 inch or the 1/2 inch score line is going to create the lip for the box. And these sections here are going to create the base element of the box. And this is our glue tab to join the sides of the box together. We're now going to do our scoring for our facets, and we're going to score from the end of the 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch score line down to the pencil mark, and then from the pencil mark down to the outer left hand edge of the cardstock. We're then going to do the same from this pencil mark down and down to this one. And then we're going to do the same from the pencil mark down to this one and down to this one. So between the 4 pencil marks, we're going to create a diamond. And this side will have half a diamond, which will become a whole diamond when we add the 2 pieces together. So we will score. So this has created our half diamond on the side. And when you get to the end, you're going to score down to the point where the score lines intersect with the 3-inch score line. Okay, so that's how this piece looks. You can see we've got these funnels. Rotate the piece, and we're now going to score between the pencil marks, leaving out the section in the diamond. So I'm going to score from here to here. Skip this piece and then score from here to here. And do that in the 3 sections. So that's one piece. Take your second smaller piece and we're going to do exactly the same thing. Now get rid of any pencil marks. Start by folding and burnishing the horizontals and verticals. And just take care, if you have got the 1/4-inch tab at the top, just take care as you fold and burnish that. Take your scissors. We're going to start by cutting up each of the verticals to the horizontal to create the base elements of the box. So I'm going to cut up each of these, cut up the final score line up to the horizontal, rotate and remove the rectangle, and you can cut a wedge into the side glue tab at the same time. Rotate the other way. I'm going to remove the bottom left hand corner and cut a wedge into the side glue tab at the same time. Cut down each of the verticals within your 1/4-inch or your 1/2-inch glue tab. Rotate, fold under the top and the middle tab. We're going to cut along the score line and remove this section. This piece here will be where the flap of the box comes in. Effectively, this line here is going to be the top front edge of the box, so it will be what you see. So just take your time and cut that away and try and get a nice neat edge. So this is our piece. So we now want to work on these additional score lines. Every score line is going to be a mountain fold. So I'm going to gently just work my way along. I have used quite a thick cardstock, so I might have to manipulate this more. So that is going to come round like so. I'm going to work on the diamond aspect first and just work my way along, manipulating one diamond section at a time. So that's the 3 sides of our box, and then I'm going to gently just push outwards from the inside along the centre. I'm just pushing from behind with my finger just to manipulate that into shape. So we're now going to try and create a mounting fold along the centre score line. Doesn't have to be exaggerated. This is 3 sides of how the box is going to look. So once you've manipulated those 3 sides, we'll take the last side, again fold and burnish. This is the base element of the box, so I'm going to cut up the score line to the horizontal, like so, rotate and remove that piece and cut a wedge at the same time. Move along, and we can actually remove this entire section because this is where the lid is actually going to adhere. So we can actually remove this. I've included this extra 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 an inch, but I didn't actually need to. So I'm going to remove that section in its entirety and then take a wedge from the end. And now I'm going to manipulate this along the score lines in exactly the same way. Okay, so that's our final side of our box. So now we want to join our piece up. Now you can see that I've manipulated the pieces independently to then join them together. If you think you will find it easier to have it as one long strip and then do your manipulation, then that is obviously an option. So this piece is going to join on here, like so, and then this piece is going to join under, like so. So I'm just going to lay mine back out. I'm going to glue the 4th side of the box on. So that's created our diamond. Now I can go in, add glue to this glue tab, join up the ends, and then once that's fully dried, because you've now got an extra piece of glue tab inside over the score line, you'll probably need to go in and just re-manipulate this portion of the diamond here where this joins, and also this portion of the diamond here where this joins. Whilst that's drying, I'm going to work on the base. So the front of the box is going to be, I'm going to have the joins at the back. So this will be the front. So I'm going to flip that one out of the way. Push in the 2 side sections. Just see whether you need to trim those down at all. So I'm going to push that one down. I'll use construction glue for this. Add some glue. And once that's in place, I'm just going to go in with my score tool, burnish that down and spread the glue. So we can now add in the lid. I'm going to just shape the ends of these 2 tabs at the back so that I've got enough room to sit the lid in. Take our lid piece, fold and burnish. Take a wedge from one end, so this will be the hinge that goes in the box. Add glue to the hinge section. So I'm going to just slide the hinge in the back like so. The score line is just above the top edge of the box. I'm going to just take a wedge off the front of the wedge off this side as well. Now, as far as the lid is concerned, obviously you will find that because of the angles of the front of this section here, your lid is going to sit over the angle, if that makes sense. You can see that there's some lid here which sits over where the angle sits. Although I've rounded these, what I actually need to do is shape the front of the lid flap like so, because otherwise the lid is going to be affected by the angles here, if that makes sense. So if I now slot that in, that fits in nicely whereas before I'd cut that piece off, it didn't fit in as well. You could add a finger notch into the front here if you so wished, but that is essentially the box ready for decoration. Here's my decorated box. You can see I've added DSP onto all of the sides and all of the facets. For the DSP added onto the sides, I cut myself a template out of copier paper, and the starting point for my template was 2 3/4 of an inch by 2 3/8 of an inch, and I've then measured in 3/4 of an inch from either end and cut it down to shape. And for the diamond element, these started off at 4.5 inches by 1.25 inches, and then I've measured the halfway point on all 4 sides and cut. But I did have to fiddle around to get the right look for these. I've added a simple snowflake topper that I put together on the front, and overall I'm really happy with how the box has come out. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to the channel, and until next time, thanks for watching.